We are the one, the light in the dark. One heart, one world, one spark. We are the one, together we rise. One dream, one voice, one sky.
Hi, everyone. Welcome to our next episode. And guys, this is Women Empowered Across the World podcast. And I want to have every one of my hosts introduce themselves and where they're from. And then we will have our special guest, Wendy Huffman, on to inspire everyone. All right. So I'm Carol Witt, and I am the founder and the director for YEA Global. And guys, we are in 55 countries. 38 are in Africa now. And we just started our course yesterday for the next 9 weeks. So very, very excited about that. And Megan, you want to come and introduce yourself?
Awesome. Thank you, Carol. Hello, everyone. Good to have you all with us. My name's Megan, and I'm based out in Cape Town, South Africa. I am an advocate for literacy and a multi-passionate entrepreneur, a creative through and through, and I just love the fact that we are together again for this episode. Thank you very much.
Awesome. And Alina.
Hello, everyone. Hello, Wendy. My name is Alina Pelka. I'm based in Poland. I'm a CEO and founder at the Orgas Foundation, nonprofit organization working in different countries of Africa, empowering women and girls, saving lives at birth, and fighting for education for, women and for girls and children in general in rural areas.
Wonderful. Thank you. Jackie.
Hi, I'm Jackie Zaccoli, and I'm delighted to be here with Carol and team. And I am in Arizona, though my heart usually is extended in Africa, in the many countries there. And I have a global impact network that brings through the pillars of literacy and wellness and environment, as well as employment to the underserved populations. Thank you.
And Bylan.
Hello, everyone. My name is Bailan Mahino. I am the founder of Global Dream Makers and the creator of a life framework called the Dream Maker Matrix. I'm in San Francisco, and a lot of the work that I do affects people in the Philippines and Asia. My purpose here is to help you define and create your dream.
Beautiful. And Teresa, I know you have your baby, but can you just come say hi really quickly and where you are and what you do with YEA? Oh, you're muted. There you go.
Sorry, I'm Teresa Kumsin, and I'm from Ghana. I'm YA program director, and I'm a nurse by profession, but a multi-talented entrepreneur, and I love being an entrepreneur, actually. Carol found me so sweet, and we've been working together. She's been amazing, and I've gone through YAA. I'm here to listen to all. This is my first time, actually, so I just want to know what is going on. I promise I'll keep coming back. Yes, so thank you.
Thank you, Teresa. Okay, yes, guys, Teresa is my Africa director for YEA. She's the one that stepped up and said, I'm the one. And she's opened the doors all over Africa. Okay, so I have the pleasure of bringing our guest on, Wendy Huffman. You will get very inspired by her story and what she is up to, what she has done in her life. It's pretty amazing. And guys, get ready. This is a tissue moment, okay? Wendy, come join us.
Thank you so much, Carol. I really appreciate you and your acknowledgement. How much time do I have?
You have about 20 minutes.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well, so just to tell you a little bit about me, I met my husband Bill after completing a 30-year marriage, and he was disabled, but had just the most indomitable spirit. Like, at least I'm walking and talking kind of an attitude. And that's another, that would take more than 20 minutes to go into all of that. But anyway, we had Life of Adventure in 2013. We sold everything and backpacked around South America for 2 years. And then came back to the States because of family. I had some family issues to take care of. And but he was a traveler when I met him. He loved to travel. And so we settled in Nashville because my mom was in declining health wise, and I wanted to spend her last years with her. And it was funny because he said Nashville wasn't on the list of countries we were going to go see. But he understood, and so we came, and he kept taking little jaunts and trips here and there, and I got a job and bought a condo and just settled in. And in October of 2018, his father had been also declining in California, and he'd spent the last year traveling back and forth, and his father passed. And then 2 months later, in 2018, my mom, who actually had got off of hospice and had 2 really healthy years, suddenly at 90 had died peacefully. And it was just, a little, okay, do we want to sell everything and travel again? I go, no, I like having the home base and I have a great job. Let's just keep doing the travel, short jaunts. And then in February, I lost my job in 2019. And then he was just like, well, what do we want to do now? I'm like, no, I still want to stay. And I said, I'm going to take this 7-month course where I'm going to drive to Atlanta every weekend. And he's just like, what if I go to Africa for 6 months and explore Africa? And I'm like, oh, honey, that would be so wonderful. If you could do that, that would set me free, right? Because how guilty do you feel every weekend leaving, your husband? So he did. So he went to Cape Town, and he worked on a food line there, feeding the people in Cape Town. And then he traveled and went to Namibia for just a day or two, and then he ended up in Zambia, and he found this school for disadvantaged youth, and he started mentoring the teachers there. It was Easter week, so he was there. The kids were out, so he was mentoring the teachers. He was so inspirational, and he had been a very powerful executive before his accident. And we did this. We have this recording on YouTube and of his speech, and it's called "Set Big Goals and Make a Difference." And he always said, if your dreams aren't big enough that people don't think you're crazy, then if your dream, when you tell people your goals, if people don't think you're crazy, you're not dreaming big enough, right? So anyway, a week later, it was his birthday, and I was driving back from Atlanta, right? And I asked my new friend to drive, that we were carpooling, and I said, I gotta call and sing him happy birthday in the worst way possible. And when I called, a detective answered the phone and said, I'm sorry, your husband died in the night. And I still had 5 hours to drive, right? And you're just like staring out the window going, what the hell just happened to my life? And so I got on a plane and I flew over there, and I had met a lot of the people on, FaceTime. He'd passed his phone around many, many times, and they lined up and they met me at the airport in a bus. And they lined up to tell me the difference that he'd made in their life. And flying home, I thought, my last promise to him was to do a fundraiser and help these teachers. And I thought, we talked about having a nonprofit, but if I'm honest, we were just a little too lazy. We did not want to take on that kind of work. We had a really good life, right? Life of kind of leisure. And I thought, no, this is the time. So I started Let's Make the Difference. And that was 5.5 years ago. And the first thing I did was raise the fund. I thought, I don't want to just send money to Africa. There's a lot of rumors and allegations of corruption. And I thought, I want to know that the people I send money to have integrity and that they're going to use the funds, right, the way that they're intended and not just put them in their pocket. And so I thought about this course, the Landmark Forum, that Bill and I had actually met. It was our first date. I invited him to an introduction there, and we had created this amazing life of adventure around this course and about the inquiry on where am I playing small and what difference can I make in the world and how can I have a bigger life, right? So I thought I'll send these teachers to that course. So and I was in this program. We raised $14,000 and flew 11 people. It was 8 teachers, the administrator of the school, and the detective that had been so kind to me when I was there. And we sent them all to the Landmark Forum in October of that year in Cape Town, South Africa. And it was life-changing for all of us and for everyone who participated in helping us raise the funds. When they meet the people on Zoom, you guys all know this, right? Because you've had interactions with people in Africa, and it changes you. And they're so, like, the response that we get is the gratitude from them, but they don't get the difference that it makes for us. So it gave me, let's make the difference, gave me purpose. It helped me get out of bed every morning. I had a bigger vision, a bigger purpose, and it expanded to 11 countries. We had, we sponsored about 268 people into the Landmark Forum in 11 countries. And then we got into the refugee camps in Kenya. The first person, his name is Honore Abengo, and he's an incredible human being. And he was conducting peace and conflict resolution campaigns there to reduce the violence. And they had an impact of 60% reduction in violence. And then he lost his funding in like 2022. And meanwhile, we just kept putting people in the forum and leadership training, the introduction leader program, all these advanced courses. And the 5-year anniversary, we took a look at the impact that we've had. And I mean, it's 268 people. And then if you extrapolate the ripple effect, and you know this, I know you do because of the work you all do, the impact on the communities is thousands of people. But we started thinking, like, the camps, the settlements had kind of, the new influx of people from South Sudan had caused lockdowns and violence, and things had been escalating. And I started thinking, we're paying about $300 a person for the internet and to organize and the tuitions to put people through the Landmark Forum. I thought, we have enough people trained now. What can we do to improve their financial situation? I mean, food, they're in the refugee settlements, they get 1,000 calories a day per person, per family. And the money that they have is like, I don't know, $7 a month for sundries. I mean, it's like, if they don't work, like, that's all they have to live on. And I thought, I want to make a difference economically too. So I approached Honore and I said, what would it take and what would the impact be of bringing back the campaigns for peace and conflict resolution? And he said, well, we pay the people to go out into the neighborhoods for 3 days before and register people, and then we pay the leaders. And so I thought, I think we need to do that instead of focusing on paying American companies and the internet companies, right? The data, as you know, the data is so expensive. And here there's boots on the ground. There's people who are trained and leaders. So that's what we've done. So we're a couple months in. The first meeting that we had was all the community members. We had about 250 teachers, the administrators, pastors, nonprofit leaders come together and explain to them what we were doing. And they were all enrolled. They said, yes, we'll support it. And so then we're just going neighborhood by neighborhood. So we have a graduation coming up of 310 people so far. So with the 250, that's over 600. And each person gets a certificate and they agree to be an ambassador of peace. And people from the earlier campaigns have gone back to their home, like South Sudan, where all the violence is, and they are now teaching these campaigns. And that's our goal. We want to expand. We want to expand to other refugee camps. We need it here in the States, right? We want to help Honore license his curriculum and take it to the world. There's 45 leaders in training now to lead the courses. And so we're just in a fundraising campaign. We're working towards Giving Tuesday. I could use each of your help with analyzing our funnel, giving us a critique. I'm kind of doing interviews now and asking questions like, what do you think about this? How can we change this? If you know any CEOs, Giving Tuesday is a huge time of the year. I'm sure you all know, but 3.2 billion was given last year, I think, by corporations and foundations. And so we're ready to expand. We're ready to scale and take this to a bigger level. So that's my story. We're also looking for board members. We want people experienced with nonprofits to help complete the structures, and like a COO to help with the organization of it. And it's exciting. We've got a lot of we've come a long way. And Carol, you and I have known each other for a couple of years now, and watching each other, watching YEA grow and expand to all the countries that you've done. It's so encouraging. And there's plenty of money out there for all of us, and people just need to be inspired and follow their passions and support whatever, missions that they have. And we just need to help tap into that and inspire them. And then that will open up the channels, right? So anyhow, that's where we're at now.
Beautiful.
Any questions or?
Yes. Yes, I'm sure everyone has questions, and you must connect with Jackie. Jackie Zaccoli runs Global Impact Network. You want to connect with her.
All of you have, all of you.
All of us.
Oh, I need to talk to all of you. Yes.
All of us, absolutely. And
it's all an integration. It's about integrating,
collaborating.
Collaborating.
Yes. So, all right. So, Wendy, my question for you is this: inside of losing your husband, and so like out of the blue, that wasn't expected.
No.
How did you bounce back to finding this purpose of let's make a difference, your organization? How did you, how did that happen for you to move forward in looking for something for yourself? I know when I lost my fiance, I took myself out of life for almost a year. I just had to keep breathing, reminding myself, breathe, Carol, because just like you, my whole life changed as soon as he died. We had all these plans. You had all these plans, and then life went away. Your life ended in that direction. So how did you bounce back? How did you find yourself to move forward toward a purpose?
Thank you. That's such a perfect question, because I'm working on a book, and it's called Happily After. And it's about preparing, the thing that's so interesting about life here in the US. And I'm not sure that Teresa can even relate to this, but we just don't deal with death. We don't like, it's almost like we think that life is going to be happily ever after. One of my best friends, her mom's in her 90s and her husband just passed They were together like 60 years. And she was kind of beside herself, like, I didn't expect this. It's like, how can you be in your 90s and not expect it? You have to plan, you have to prepare for it. And I think what really, it's the word's equanimity. It's my new favorite word. And it means to be able to stand in the face of any circumstance. And that doesn't come in the moment. That's something you prepare for. And there's also, I mean, I have a list of books that really impacted me over the years. The one thing is the Landmark Forum, of course, and having that as part of our life. We talked about everything. We talked about the eventualities. We talked about what the future could look like. There was, and so it there's a reality in it. And my first husband had died in 2015, and it was like, oh, okay. I mean, we'd been divorced, but still it was like this harsh reality of like, wow, life is short, and we're all getting older, and we can do everything we can to not look like it, right? But it's like just preparing for every stage of life. We go through empty nest syndrome. It's a real thing. Why? Because we weren't preparing for it. It's like, no, I don't want my kids to be independent and healthy and move out and start a life of their own. I want them to stay here with me forever, right? It's like, no, no, no. Let's look at healthy life stages and start preparing for them. Oh. And I think it has to do with just, there's a book called Necessary Endings, and it's actually a book about business, and it's about making business decisions. But I really, when I read it, I just went, holy cow, that is life. There's a season. I mean, there's a season for life, for our lives. And we can know that, and we can say, yes, someday, but to really build, one thing that I would say that I did not do is, because we moved around so much, I did not have a strong network of friends. And I would recommend that every woman now, I have a huge network of women friends. And I would recommend everyone start that today if they didn't do it. Absolutely. And don't you agree?
Absolutely, Wendy. Absolutely.
Yeah.
All right. So does anybody else have a question for her? Go for it, guys. Who wants to ask Wendy a question? Comment.
Hello.
Yes, Teresa, go ahead.
You took my question right directly from my mind. But the thing is, you gave an instance about the death of her husband, and it made her mention even her first husband, that they got divorced and all that. So I believe, I'm very young actually. I'm young. I'm 30 years old. I believe you faced other obstacles and then challenges in your life. You mentioned books and the rest, but do you have like a baseline theory or a procedure or something that helps you come back up? Because sometimes I find it difficult, especially when I get hit. Like, I'm kind of good, so people always take advantage of me. And anytime it happens like that, I really get hit, and it's difficult to feel free again or to even think of helping others. But I can see that it made you stronger, and rather you even stretched out your arms, and you have helped countless number of people. How do you do
it? I think if you can embrace that this is what life looks like. It's not personal. It's like somebody said to me, how did you lose all, like my father-in-law, my mother, my husband, my job, all within a 6-month period? How are you still standing, right? And I was like, everything that happened to me will probably happen to everyone on the planet. There's nothing personal about it. It doesn't usually happen in that short of a time frame, but it's not unusual. It happens to people every single day. So it's like the perspective of how life should be the expectation is what sets us up for disappointment and depression and discouragement. Like, why me? Like, I've never said that, not in recent years anyway. I'm sure when I was younger I did. I don't want to sound that, but it's just kind of like, why not me? And especially once you start here in America, once you start working with people in Africa, somebody said, oh, that must have been really difficult for you. I'm thinking, I don't have to wait in line for water. That's difficult to me. Like, life is just life. And it's when we have this expectation of it being some flowery fairy tale, that's when we get disappointed and we can't deal with it. It's like, yes, oh, this is one of those times. Oh, I get it. This is one of those times. This is the valley, right? And then the mountain is going to come, and this is life. And it's like they talk about the 4 seasons of life, and they talk about all these things. It's really a mountain with no top. We're going to always be climbing, hopefully, for a higher goal, and life is going to happen to us. And we don't know what it is, but it's getting that internal core strength and that view of, oh, this is what life looks like. Like, even when it's working, we think, I had a powerful leader say to, in a course, like, her daughter was just rushed to the hospital. She was going to go visit her and all this stuff. And she's driving thinking, oh, this is what life looks like when it's working. There's nothing broken or wrong with it. This is just life, like being alive, right? There's going to be the mountains, there's going to be the valleys. And it's letting go of the expectation that sometime at some point we're going to have a perfect life. We might for a minute, right? With us, okay, I'm going to enjoy this minute because I know it's not, it's not going to last forever. And just really gratitude, like, really, Teresa, I think gratitude is the answer to that. Just to be in a constant state of gratitude, wonderment, seeing the silver. Like, there are thousands of people who've been impacted by Bill's death and they don't even know it.
Yeah.
It was a gift. I said to someone when we were talking about our relationship, like, I know he would have died for me. And they said, maybe he did. Because it gave me a purpose I would not have seen before.
Ooh, wow.
Yeah. We don't know. That's the keeper of the stars, right? We don't know why. And there's no point in asking, but it's what's next. That's the most important question. What's next? What can I take from this? What can I turn it around and give to others as a result of it? And how can I become stronger?
Thank you, Wendy. Thank you. We've got Megan. She has a question for you. Go ahead, Megan.
Thank you very much, Wendy. Thank you so much for sharing that amazing and inspirational story. And I'm sorry, and I feel with you for what you went through. However, like, I think a lot of people would be able to say to you, I'm so glad you could stand strong and find yourself on the other side, because that's clearly what happened. And you touched a little bit, you alluded to something in your previous answer, but I wanted to find out from you, is there one or maybe one or two things, that really struck you when you stepped into this role supporting Africa, right? Because you mentioned the fact that you don't have to walk and carry water. And I've got business partners based overseas and we speak regularly. And I take it for granted that people are aware of the fact that there are people carrying water every day. There are kids walking to school for 10 kilometers per day, and I live in South Africa. So for me, the reality is there. It might not have been my reality, but it's certainly just down the road from me. What are those things that really struck you? Because I feel that is something that we need to highlight for people that haven't experienced Africa in its reality. So maybe if you can just share something like that with us. What was it that really gave you that insight into the differences of what we take for granted in a first world country or more developed area of Africa versus what the reality is?
Well, I have to give credit to Bill. He was the world traveler, and Zambia was his 50th country. And he couldn't wait to get me out of the States, to share with me the world. I had wanted my whole life to travel, and my first husband didn't even like to fly anywhere. So it was like such a mind-opening experience. And I think he loved the African people. It was his first time on the continent, and he was just like, oh my gosh, I love these people, and there's so many of them are just so open and caring and trusting and welcoming to him.
Thank you for loving us.
Yes.
Teresa.
I think the greatest gift that I can give anyone is to introduce them to my African team. I get them on as many networking calls as I can. You have to meet, because everyone has changed. Teresa and Megan, when people meet you and hear, for one thing, the intelligence, I'm sorry to talk about the stereotypes, but especially with refugees, my whole conception of refugees was equating them with the homeless people in America, and it's so the opposite. They're like educated and powerful with vision, just that's restrained in them because of their circumstances. And I thought the biggest gift I can give them is if they could see outside of their circumstances, and they have become amazing leaders. But I think the biggest gift that I can give anyone is to introduce them to my team and to see what we're doing.
I love that, Teresa. I so love that. I love your heart, and really, you are a golden heart in the world. You are about making a difference, and that's what your organization is all about. I love that.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, who else has a question for Wendy?
I'm curious what your needs are, Wendy.
We need an American board. I have an African board, but we need people with a nonprofit experience to help kind of guide us. It's kind of like and I think this is probably true with most nonprofit owners. When they start, you just get used to doing everything, and that we're poised to expand, and that doesn't work anymore. It's time to build the team here in the States. I have an amazing, when I wanted to talk about the women's empowerment too, because Ginger Johnson is my director of women's. And
really?
Yes.
She's something else. Ginger Johnson, really?
Yes, she has been
really strong.
Yes, she is. You know her then. Good.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
she runs time. We put 80 women through the African Women's Leadership and Wellbeing course that Daniel Kamenga sponsored out of the University of Zambia. So we put 80 women, most of them refugees, through that course. Next year, slated on the schedule, once we get the Peace and Conflict Resolution campaign funded, is a reproductive education program, sexual reproduction, which is a bracelet. Oh my gosh, I should run and get it. But it's a beaded bracelet, like is it here, with a charm. And the beads are different sizes, and the one for ovulation, and then the 4 days you can get pregnant, and you move the charm. And it's an educational process to teach them. So we want to train 8 people, 4 men and 4 women, on teaching this to husbands and wives. Both of them wear the bracelet, because the woman that started it, she's done it in Haiti, and it's like 96 or 97% effective, and just gives a woman choice. How can a woman become a leader if she doesn't know how her body works and understand that? And I have 2 orphanages. Actually, they're not orphanages. I have to keep correcting myself, because that's the first thing that comes out, but they're women's home for girls to get them and keep them in school. And we're going to start there. We're going to start training them as a test project I'm hoping the first quarter of next year. So we're going to be needing funding for that. So we need fundraisers, we need volunteers, communicators, we need it, COO, we need, I definitely, the most pressing need right now is an accountant, like a CFO here in the States to manage the money for me. I'm like, and I'm sure I know Carol and we shared stories about how the boundaries get blurred, with contributing. It's not like there's any mishandling of their funds. There's definitely mishandling of my own funds because it's your passion and there's no boundaries. Like I would, almost sell everything I have.
Everything.
Yeah. And it's like, okay, somebody told me that's not healthy. You need to have a healthy board, and you need to have healthy boundaries and give other people the opportunity to make the difference. Like, why are you being selfish? As if I could transform Africa on my meager salary, So this is part of my learning journey, and becoming responsible in that way, where I can say it's time to let other people participate and stop trying to do it all myself.
Beautiful.
So, did I answer your question? I think I went off a little bit on that.
Yeah, no, I think you answered it. I had Alina raise her hand, and then I see Violence. She wants to ask you something. Alina, go ahead.
Yes, I wanted to ask a question. This question: what is one most important thing you learn in Africa from Africans?
Oh, again, it comes back to being grateful. Just honestly, my heart is so melted, and I'm so grateful for everything. I don't take a glass of water for granted anymore, and
Exactly.
yeah, and just also it's very humbling because I didn't have anything to do with being born in the United States. The life I have, the lifestyle I've had, I mean, I made choices, of course, but I mean, as far as where you're born and what you look like, you don't choose that. How can you be arrogant about that or think that somehow you deserve it or something? It's just humbling and grateful, I think. And that's what I think people that meet our team, that's what they get out of it. It's like, wow, like there's nothing. You just realize it could happen. I mean, it's like there's no arrogance in that.
Beautiful, really beautiful.
Thank you.
That's
Okay,
true. Thank you.
Well, your question.
Thank you so much, Wendy, for sharing so much wisdom and beauty in your heart. My question is not so much about vision, but about mission. And you've been able to respond to so many unexpected circumstances, respond to the situations that you and your organization come into and see, oh, this is a need, this is a need. I'm going to turn it around to the other side of when, at the end of the day, uh, how do you know that your mission is complete? What do you want to be able to say, yes, we did that?
Ooh.
You had to make me cry.
Say this was
It
gonna
was
be
our
easy.
mission.
Right? Yeah, I guess it's turnabout's fair play, right? I think when the baby leaves home, like when the organization doesn't need me anymore, when I've taken it to the point, not even now, the people don't know anything about Bill and Wendy. They don't know Bill and Wendy's story. You know, they don't know how it got started. Sometimes, you know, once in a while they'll hear me share about it and they're surprised. I had no idea, you know, and that's okay. That's okay. It's like leaving the legacy and making sure the baby is grown and independent, you know, a healthy child on its own.
Yeah.
You know. Thank you for that question.
Thank you for the answer.
Thank
Really,
you for the answers.
really amazing, Wendy. I want you to know I fought for you to be here today. I was like, come on, Wendy. I really want you to share your story because I knew your story is going to inspire so many people to really and truly look and see what can they do? What can they do?
You know, and there's all different levels of ways that people can participate, you know, but it's finding that passion. Like, because I'll tell you what, the United States, something like 60 to 70% of people in the United States are on antidepressants.
I know.
How do you explain that to a refugee?
I know.
Right? And it's like, because we're looking inward instead of outward. And people are so caught up within their own head, behind their eyes, like my life isn't perfect. Guess what? It's never going to be. And that's okay. Life was not designed to be perfect. We need challenges to grow. And I do want to say,
yeah,
I picked up and ran for a year, right? Starting the nonprofit, raising the money, getting people there. And in November, everything was finished. The 7-month course was over. The people were flown to the landmark forum. That was over. And all the courses I was in was over. And that's when it hit me. And that's when I had trouble getting out of bed. And that's when I had to go seek counseling and say, okay, I guess I have to stop and take a look at what's happened and really deal with it. So I don't want it to sound like, well, yeah, you just, because it's easy for me. Different personalities, different people handle things differently. I like to run. I'll just run. I'll just keep running and never let it catch up. And the book that I recommend to every single person that I hear have had any kind of loss is the Grief Recovery Handbook. And it totally changed my life and helped me to quantify, like, grief is cumulative. And I've had a lot of grief in my life. It's like, I think starting with my best friend died in my arms when I was like 28 or something. And like, it just seemed like, okay, wow. Like sometimes grief happens to people, but it's like getting complete with it, you know, and talking to people, like finding people to talk about with good wisdom to counsel you. So I didn't want to step over that. Like, I'm not Superwoman. It's like, it did catch up with me. I did have to deal with it. I had a job to do first. I got it done. And then maybe that was the right time for me to deal with it because it wasn't so raw, you know?
Beautiful.
So
really beautiful. So Wendy, we say something in YEA, and that is the quality of your life is how you dance with what life gives you. And that is
love that.
Exactly what you just shared. The quality of your life is how you dance with what life gives you, because we can't control what life gives us.
No,
we can't control it, but how you dance with it will give you your quality of life.
It's like adjusting the sails, right?
Absolutely.
You know, you don't control the sea, but you can adjust the sails. And sometimes you just need to pull those things down and strap yourself to the mast, you know.
So
but you
wow.
know, but
well,
sunny days will come again. That's the thing you have to hold on to and you have to know. And it's all about just building your resilience from now for the journey. This is like, we're on this journey. We know that there's going to be bumps ahead. Pack accordingly, you know. Sorry, I got to train.
I love it. All right. So guys, thank you so much for another absolutely amazing.
Have her put her contact information.
Oh,
please.
yes, please, Wendy, put your information in. So, and everybody else put your information in so that you can connect with Wendy. Okay. See what what you might want to do inside of collaborating in some way with her. Okay. So thank you guys for another amazing episode of Women Empowered Across the World podcast. This was so great. So great. I had to get my Kleenex out. And guys, please, if you love this, please share it. Please comment on it. Please join us again for another episode and another amazing guest. We want this out everywhere, guys, everywhere. Okay. And we are all on LinkedIn. If you want to be a guest on here, please reach out to one of us. We're all out there. Reach out and let us know you'd like to be a guest on our podcast. Okay. Thank you again and have a thriving week.
When we stand as one, there's no divide. Peace and love.